Sorry, didn't see you guys there. Just starting another one of our live tastings. This one, all based around Bordeaux. So for Glengarry wines, Bordeaux's been a really strong feature of our portfolio for a really long time. And they started importing in the mid-80s, starting with the 82 vintage. So a really great wine to start importing Bordeaux wines from. So a really long history of importing Bordeaux wines through Glengarry's into New Zealand. So we really love Bordeaux here, and we're really excited to show off some excellent ones tonight. So when you think of Bordeaux, you traditionally think of Cabernet blends, which is what people refer to as sort of Bordeaux blends. But there's a lot more that goes on in Bordeaux apart from just Cabernet-based wines. So we've got some lovely ones here which are not Cabernet dominant. So throughout Bordeaux, 90% of the production is red wine. The predominant grape variety is Merlot, so 85% of the grape varieties planted in Bordeaux are Merlot. And we'll also have a small production of sweet wines and white wines as well, dry white wines. So we're starting off with the Blanc Sec de Suduiraut today, which is a dry white wine. For those of you who are schooled up on your third form French there, will notice the Blanc Sec in the name, obviously white and dry. This wine comes from Chateau Tourelles, so they are a Premier Cru Class A Sauterne producer, and produce some lovely sweet wines from the Sauterne region in Bordeaux. When producing dry white wines in Bordeaux, there's no AOC classification in Sauterne for producing dry white wines, so this is classed as Bordeaux AOC, or just sort of your base level Bordeaux production, but really high quality production. So you'll find that with a lot of the still dry whites from Bordeaux. This one in particular is 60% Semillon and 40% Sauvignon Blanc. Really lovely aromatics on this wine. So you've got that lovely traditional citrus note from your Sauvignon Blanc, which brings really freshness, exuberance. Semillon adds another sort of deeper, more sort of grapefruit character, and almost sort of like a little waxiness on the nose, which I think we see come through really nicely on the palate. One thing that's really great with Bordeaux Blanc wines is the texture on them. So this wine only has 5% barrel maturation, so the rest is all done in stainless steel to preserve that sort of freshness. Traditionally, there's a lot more oak used in Bordeaux Blanc, which adds another layer of complexity, but we'll see the texture on this and see what we think. Yeah, that waxiness really comes through, and it's a beautifully textural wine, really long finish as well. Lovely complexity there from the citrus, a little bit of stone fruit as well, and a little bit more depth from that touch of oak as well. So from there, we'll move on to Pomerol. So Pomerol's on the right bank of Bordeaux, and traditionally produces Merlot dominant wines. This one, the Chateau Bourgneuf from 2016, is a really classic example of really high quality Pomerol. 90% Merlot and 10% Cabernet Franc. So the Cabernet Franc adds a lovely aromatic, a lovely sort of fresh sort of violets, a real prettiness to the wine. You'll see a really lovely rich deep colour coming from the Merlot grown on these clay soils that are in Pomerol. Chateau Bourgneuf has a lovely aspect sort of west. They have a great range of true sort of iron-rich clay soils, which the Merlot grows really well on. Holds a lot more moisture through summer, so Bordeaux has quite cool, wet winters, nice, long, hot summers, and that clay really holds a bit of moisture, which that Merlot really loves. And as you move down the slopes, it moves to a little bit more sandy sort of area, and they have some gravels as well, which is their Cabernet Franc. Really comes into its own. Lovely warm site in there, so we should see some lovely plush fruits on the nose, plum, dark fruit characters. 100% French oak as well. 30% of that is new French oak, so a good whack of punchy French oak in there as well, so we should see that on the nose too. Let's give it a sniff. Oh yeah, it's got a lovely depth to it, lots of rich fruit, and that's really held in nicely by that oak that's in there. I think the thing about these 2016 reds is the vintage drinks really nicely on opening. These, I just pulled the cork on them about an hour ago, just checked them. Straight out of the glass, they look really stunning, really fresh, really balanced. On the palate as well, I've tried a lot of these 16s. They've got beautiful fresh acidity while still retaining great concentration. So let's see what it's like on the palate. Lovely dense fruit there, backed up by some full oak juice and really strong sort of tannins, but they're really nicely integrated into the wine. And then on the finish, that acid really gives it a freshness, a length, really driving sort of nice salivating sort of character to it. So with your nice sort of big red meats, I think this is a wine that you can drink straight away, but has all the hallmarks of a wine that will age really well over a long period of time. So definitely 2016's one to have in your cellar. And this one at, what's this, 121 for the Bourgneuf. The whole time that I've worked at Glengarry's, this has been one of our top selling Bordeaux wines. Really solid producer. Been in the same family since the 1840s, but now sort of managed by JP Moex. So a really great name, based on the right bank with Pomerol, Saint-Emilion, owners of Petrus. So all that knowledge and experience goes into producing this wine. From there, we jump across to the left bank. So home of the Cabernet-based wines in Bordeaux, the Cabernet dominant wines. This one, Le Tourelles de Longueville. So this is Pichon Baron's second wine. Well, it started off as Pichon Baron's second wine, and has now moved to its own wine altogether. So it comes off a separate plot within the estate. So that's the St. Anne vineyard, and is Merlot dominant. So I've got the little cepage here, which is quite a breakdown. So we've got 58% Merlot, 25% Cabernet Sauvignon, 12% Cabernet Franc, and 5% Petit Verdot. So we'll get some in the glass and see what the difference is compared to that Chateau Bourgneuf. So again, really intense, deep colour, but moved sort of where the Bourgneuf was sort of more of a ruby. This has moved to sort of a darkness. It's almost got a touch of purple to it, and really intense, really deep. So on the left bank, on the Medoc, you've got really gravelly soils. So in Pauillac, the appellation where this is from, you've got the most free draining, most sort of gravelly soils of the Medoc. So you get really dry through the summer. Really makes those vines work really hard. Nice warmth, so really ripe fruit, dark characters, really strong tannins. But really interesting to see Merlot dominant wine come from this region, and see how the plushness of the Merlot sort of softens a little bit of that harsh sort of deepness, and produces a really easy drinking wine on release like this. This 2016 is stunning. So let's have a sniff and see what we think. Yeah, instantly you can see that that sort of more dark edge to the fruit here. Really rich, really potent wine. Again, really integrated tannins. I think that's the first thing that really hits me with this wine. Still full tannins, but really supple, really integrated into the wine already, which is really great to see from a young wine like this. Still has great depth and concentration, long finish. This is one that will stick around in the cellar for a very long time, but also something, if you want something really nice to drink now, one to pick up and really shows nicely straight out of the bottle. So that sits bang on $99, so it's a really nice price point as well. Right, that wraps up our little Bordeaux tasting. It's a bit of a grey, sort of rainy old night here in Whangarei, so I'm going to sit down with those two reds and really get into the depth of it. Glengarry Wines, we're trading online at the moment. Moving to level 3, we'll have a great range of delivery options come up as well, so keep an eye out for those as they come through, and we'll see you for some more tasting. Cheers. Thanks, guys.